Good evening and welcome to NTA Tuesday Live. Glad to know you're there. I am Jummai Yusuf. Now, Nigeria came under global recession like most countries in the world in 2029 with manifest impact in the year 2020 and 2021, occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. This affected major economic policies and programs and launched the country into an aggressive path of recovery and growth under the implementation of various fiscal interventions. During this period, multi-sectoral performance was adjudged to be above average despite paucity of funds to service recurrent and capital expenditure on a sustainable budget cycle. Now, 2021 may have come and gone, but the lessons learned have created a large-scale platform for innovative solutions to handle needs in critical sectors of the economy like security and other strategic areas. Tonight on Tuesday Live, we shall x-ray the year 2021 and look into prospects for 2022. But before we go into the discussion proper, let's get towards the background report from Benny Adams. We'll be right back.
2021 took off with economic uncertainties occasioned by effects of COVID-19, but soon peaked acceleration at the end of Q1 2021, recording a GDP growth of 0.51%, an impressive leap to 5.01% in Q2 and 4.03% in Q3, and by the end of October 2021, the federal government disclosed that it has raised 73% of its targeted revenue.
So we've also put in place a monthly revenue monitoring committee, a presidential committee that looks at all the revenues reported by the revenue generating agencies, reconciles it to the bank, the actual amounts that is shown in the bank accounts. That has helped us also to strengthen the remittances and block delays and leakages that used to happen.
With remittances being strengthened, revenue blossomed, enough for increased spending, leading to the ICT recording highest growth rate.
If you look at the statistics, only ICT sector has the growth rate of double digits. Most of the other sectors, even the growth rate is single, but in our own case, double-digit growth. All these things are really encouraging. And in 2022, our plan is to consolidate the achievement of the previous years and also try to see how we can increase our contribution to GDP, how we can provide the digital skills to our citizens, and how we can make our digital economy to be the greatest, not only and the biggest, not only in Africa, but including other continents.
With a 160.593 billion naira budget for the ministry and plans for the deployment of 5G technology this month, 2022 sure looks promising for the digital economy.
Today, Nigeria is self-sufficient in rice production. Nigeria is #1 in rice production in Africa. Nigeria has done so much in the area of improving the production of grains such as rice, maize, soybeans, and the rest of them. Without the support from Mr. President himself, there is no way that we can make this kind of achievement.
The agricultural sector under review contributed 22.35%, 23.78%, and 29.94% to the overall GDP in the first, second, and third quarters of 2021.
Mine is to provide leadership and to ensure that we deliver power to Nigeria and to have it uninterrupted.
Then the power sector, considered the driver of the economy, the sector got the support of the federal government with memos approved for upgrade, rehabilitation, and expansion of transmission infrastructure. And now, with 17.126 trillion naira budget to be funded in 2022, the federal government plans investment worth billions of dollars in private equity and capital in the National Development Plan of 2021 to 2025 to support implementation.
Benny Adams there with the background report to set the pace for our conversation. And don't forget, in the course of the program, the phone lines will be open where you can send your contributions from whatever device you're using. Please remember to tone down the audio of the device so that we can be able to communicate and hear you very, very well. Thank you so much for coming to Tuesday's Live. Let me now introduce you to our guest. First of all, in the studio is Honorable Farouk Aliu Adamu, former Minority Leader, House of Representatives, a farmer and a businessman. You're welcome to Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
And we also have Brigadier General Joseph Okuleagu. He's a lawyer and politician. He's joining us via Zoom from Enugu. It's a pleasure to have you join us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And also in the studio here in Abuja, we have Professor Muhammad Muttaka Usman. He's from the Department of Economics, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. You're welcome to Tuesday Live.
Thank you.
Compliments of the season. Also joining us from London is Dr. Kayode Ajulo. He's a legal practitioner and he's in London. Thank you so much for joining us on Tuesday Live.
Okay, thank you very much. It's my pleasure. And compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season. Let's Honorable Farouk, I would like to begin with you. Let's begin on a subtle, ground and tell us your perspective, your insight, your knowledge of how 2021 went down in retrospect. Let's begin with that and we'll go deeper later.
Yeah. Well, I think the year was that of mixed grill. A lot of progress, a lot of failures, a lot of disappointments, a lot of hope as well. Sadly for the whole world, not just this country, this recession and also the COVID of a matter, no matter how you look at it, that the whole world is in turbulence. So Nigeria is not an island as well. But back home here, from the business point of view, if you look at the large, big companies, the Dangotes, the Boas, the other big conglomerates, they have done extremely well. Because you find out that what the 3 or 4, 5 companies have made in terms of profit is much, much more than what the states share in a month. So which means there are prospects for big businesses and small businesses in this country. But then also there are a lot of challenges. The security problem in the country, most especially in the northern part of this country, and to some extent also in the southeast, that has posed a challenge to the government and the people of this country. No matter what anybody says, the government has done its bit in terms of the security. Yes, people are disappointed. Yes, people are complaining. But then this also, you cannot take away from this government that no government in this country had ever invested in terms of hardware and recruitment into the armed forces and other security agencies. Whether that is enough for the people of this country, not yet, of course. The government probably needs to do more and so on. So far, the year 2021 is a year of mixed blessings.
A year of mixed grill of blessings there.
Yes.
Let's talk to Professor Muhammad Muttaka Usman. Let's have your take on how 2021 went down in all sphere of life in Nigeria.
Yeah, actually, like it has been said, that it's a mixed grill, but to some extent, there are some sectors that have done very well. Where I specialize, that is economy, you find out that because economic issues are something that when it happens, you have to see it, you have to touch it, you have to feel it. But it's a mixed sense in that sense that the statistics shows that there is improvement. And that improvement in terms of coming out of recessions, indices has shown that the revenue, the target are met. the large investment in terms of infrastructure, and also a lot of indices have shown that the economy is growing. But on the other hand, because economic system is built on turbulence, every economy has its own top and down. So, but the Nigerian people, have they feel that growth? The answer is no. So that means something else need to be looked at in terms of, are those statistics going right or not? Because emphasis must be looked at how the fiscal policy side and the monetary policy side shake hands in order to bring that indices, people will feel it. And when you look at in terms of investment in infrastructure, they have done so much huge investment on that. But yes, it has not been delivered yet, but there is hope. Those infrastructure ones concluded will give the economy a booster in sense of that.
I'm still staying with you briefly. Can you give us the level of sectoral performance under the year past?
Yeah. The sectoral performance is, it shows that the Nigerian economy is diversified from the GDP indicators. The higher sector, agri, ICT, and services. But that does not speak well, because when you say services are contributing a high percentage, what services do you provide? It's some people that provide services, and therefore they repatriate their profits to their own country. And therefore, that's why you see the massive investment in infrastructure has not been felt well, because most of the companies are not indigenous companies, so they will repatriate the profit in that. So the feeling is minimal in terms of that. So that's what we are looking at in terms of sectoral performance, to see why this sector has performed very well. ICT, because is a bulk, and because of COVID-19, the offices are moved to ICT, are moved to internet.
People working from
home. So you find out that there has to be a huge investment in software and hardware as well. So that's why the contributions of ICT has really gone up.
So every development needs to be seen, felt, and touched. Let's join Brigadier General Joseph Okuleagu in Enugu. He's joining us via Zoom. You've been part of the security network for more than 20 years now, and can you give us an insight on how security has been taken care of in 2021, keeping in mind that towards the end of the year, it was sort of going out of control? Can we have your take on that?
Thank you very much. Quite frankly, I would humbly want to associate myself with the views expressed already by the previous speakers, even though they did not dwell much on security. But I want to say emphatically, no matter how we Nigerians see the achievements by the security agencies, I can assure you that, honestly speaking, the security agencies and security, given the nature and the magnitude of the forces in security, currently in Nigeria, I would say we've done more than above average, if you will. But the truth of the matter is that, you see, I sympathize with the members of the armed forces, because I belong to the old brigade, if you will. the kind of training we had at our own time is not the type of problems they were faced with. But even at that, they've done tremendously very well. But I must, no matter how you vilify the president or anybody, I must thank the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for standing firm and not looking back in terms of the quantum of resources put into not just the armed forces, but the efforts to secure Nigeria. It could have work and generate money. It's a dangerous one. I watched a video where a young man was asked, "What is your focus?" He says, "Money." "What do you want?" "Money." "What do you want?" And that explains why even people who didn't one day enter the school and into kidnapping. Everybody wants to ride a jeep or car or whatever. Whether he knows how to drive or not, he wants to own one at all point. At the expense of innocent citizens, at the expense of good Nigerians. And so for a government to have contained these tendencies, strange one indeed, very strange. I've never seen it happen in any other part of the world, but our own seems to be peculiar. That people kidnap fellow human beings for money, cattle rustling, just name it. And so you are no longer safe in your country. And yet, we're able to hold forth today. We must say, Mr. President, thank you so far, so good. I can tell you, I don't know what happens in future, but it is really gloomy. That is why I may take this opportunity to still insist and suggest that the sooner Nigeria evolves and decides on its state policing and let the locals contend with their problems, be better for us, because going forward, I can't tell where this country will go. With the appetite of the present generation of youths, people no longer go to school to read. I listen to the guy who talked about performances in IT and what have you. How would you learn when your immediate concern is just how to get money and enjoy yourself? If we enjoyed ourselves at our youth, like the youths are doing now, there wouldn't be any day in Nigeria today. Quote me. And so people must learn to make sacrifices. So on balance, this government has done very well on security. It's not yet Uhuru. People have died. Yes, I admit. People are still being kidnapped. But look at the volume of, compare the quantum of crimes against what is available to contain the crime, the criminals. So, I use this opportunity to also urge the government.
General Joseph, I'm sure you have so much more to talk about in the course of the program, and your contributions, it's coming out in a way that, yes, the government has tried security-wise, and Nigerians should be appreciative for what the government is doing. And from January to now, we've been hearing some positive news coming from the security sector. We'll come to you on that so that you can shed more light on it. Let me join Dr. Kayode Ajolo. He's joining us via Zoom from London. We've talked about investment, economy, politics, and security. All these things boils down to the fact that judiciary itself should have a firm foundation in 2022, which precedes 2023, which is an electioneering year. Can you tell us, in your own words, how the judiciary fared in 2021 going into 2022? Let's get your take on that.
Well, thank you very much. It is so clear that the 2021 has come and has gone. 2021, if you know, it is more like a product of the pandemic, where the whole world was plunged into issues. One good thing about that is that by human nature and by the ingenuity of many people in the country and all over the world, we've been able to surpass that. And the judiciary too rose up to the occasion. And if you remember very well, last year, the judiciary came with different rules, to bring several rules to ensure smooth running of administration. And that's why we have the Court of Appeal coming with rules in which it will make electronic service available, in which most of the issue that address, particularly some issue of the pandemics. And apart from that, you know that last year, that's 2021, judiciary came in full force to make a lot of pronouncements that moved the country forward. And whatever thing we may call it. We recorded a lot of sources in the sense that the judiciary came out fully to let them know that they still remain the resort of not only the common man and the big man. And we can see that through several pronouncements and decisions that came from the court. And again, judiciary reminds Nigeria that law is no respecter of anybody. And that is what is happening in Lagos. You can know it's judiciary that came out to say on the issue of that estate, and you can know what is happening now. So as it is, kudos must be given to the judiciary and for trying to smooth many issues that we've seen. And even that one boils down to the issue of the criminalities. In some instances, judiciary has come out to rules and to make firm decision and to let us know this is what it is. What matters most is that law is what is used to regulate society. And in 2021, our judiciary has sent a signal to let it be known that they are always at all time to fix Nigeria whenever they are called upon. And that one brings us to 2022. Particularly this year is going to be an electionary year. And from the timetable released by the INEC this morning, you will notice that from April, May, June, July, there are a lot of roles the judiciary has to play, particularly from the point of primaries. Even as it is now, there is a limitation and there is a time limit within which you can file your matter in court, because whatever we call it, this year is an electionary year. The primaries, when the Court of Appeal, we look into the matter, then down to the Supreme Court, and which we now do pay to us having electing new offices. Now, as it is, the law and the judiciary is ready, and they are really working. And I think, like what I said earlier, kudos must be given to them.
Indeed, experts have said that this government has, they tread where, even lions fear to go. With the high-profile cases we've seen this government and the judiciary look into and, penalize, some of them are still in prison. How do they dare to achieve this?
Well, we've been, one thing is the judiciary has been achieving that, and particularly the government. Like I said, I'm not a spokesperson of government, but when we mention government is sitting on a three tripod. That is executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And the role of judiciary here is to interpret the law, and whatever names anybody can call it, that interpretation has been done smoothly and has been done to move the nation forward. There may not be time to analyze most of this judgment, but one thing that still stands out in all these judgments that have been coming from our courts is to ensure that the court is working, the government is working, and the law is already there at all time to ensure that it gives that compass the way to follow at all times in form of administering this country.
Okay, Dr. Kayode, I'll come back to you in the course of the program so that we can talk about more issues on the judiciary and the way forward in 2022. Let's now come back to the studio where Honorable Farouk is. This 2022 is an unusual year. It's not an ordinary year. It will precede an electionary year. We can't talk about judiciary, security, the economy without talking about politics because, well, politics sort of rules, and it's the biggest player there. The Independent National Electoral Commission have released their timetable for the election year, and people are moving from design to actually launching themselves into the political, sphere. How is it going to play out going into 2022?
Okay, just before I get to that, let me respond or comment about the security, which the general there spoke about. I watched a program about 2 days ago out of Enugu, where members of Nigerian army, showcased what they have done for this country. And, Nigerians should be proud of of our military. I saw a documentary of soldiers amputated without arms, 2 days ago. Some going blind, some with nothing. And they are still saying they are proud to be Nigerians. They are proud for the, to have done what they did. In fact, one of them said, in trying to, what he did, where he lost his eyes, that as at today, a town called Baga, that there are more than 10,000 people in Baga because of the sacrifice he and some of his colleagues did. And the other officer also spoke about what he did somewhere in Konduga, where a lot of them died. So, Nigerians, must be proud of our armed forces, must support them, and Nigerians should probably, I think the government should try to put up a fund, honestly, beyond these emblems that we adorn, so that we take care of our armed forces that are sacrificing their lives and so on. Now, back to politics. Yes, of course, this year is going to be hot. Parties will be busy, people will be busy. Hot
at what scale?
Well,
very hot.
Extremely hot. Because, just coming out from the electoral bill that is act where, not an act yet, direct or indirect primaries, different views from people. There are, politicians. Because look, the politicians are the ones overheating the polity. Simple, that's just it. And for selfish reasons as well, which is also part of politics. And so for those politicians that are saying that they want direct primaries, they have their reasons. Those that say they don't want also have their reasons. But in the whole thing, let us look at us as people of this country, that no matter what, we have this country, and we should do things, we should try to play things according to the rules of the game. Now, like the APC, which has, it's about to do its convention to elect officers and so on, the heat probably is much, much more there, But then what probably goes for APC is they are in government. Now, for the PDP, they have at least shown the way. They've done their convention, and with even voting a 25-year-old person as the youth leader of them. So these kind of things will shape what will happen, but politicians, as I said, it will be hot. There will be rancor, which is normal in politics. There will be disagreement. There will be cross-carpeting from one party to another, which is all part of politics. But I'm sure if we all come back to believe that, look, you need to, first of all, have the country. So no matter what your ideas or whatever you want to do, remember that you don't do things that will break the whole country because of your selfish interest. Because there are in some other parts of the country where you find the insecurity, it has got nothing to do with insecurity of stealing or so on. It's insecurity of probably divisiveness. Some don't even want to be part of this country. Now, when you come to another part of the country, the Fulani herdsmen and kidnappers and so on too. And so these will all be part of the things that overheat the polity, and I hope the politicians will not try to take undue advantage of these things that are happening in the country to rock the boat.
That's quite interesting indeed, because we need a country so that we can be able to rule it. Without a country, you cannot be a leader. Let's move on. Towards the end of 2021, President Buhari, embarked on, forums to bring investors to Nigeria and to sell our goods too to foreigners outside this country. It cannot be, we can't talk about it enough, because it has brought a lot of interest into Nigeria. And at every forum he has said Nigeria is a stable place for visitors to come and invest. What are we looking at in 2022 in that area? Are we going to see more of forests, the president attending more and trying to say that our economy should be stabilized with foreign investment, direct investment coming?
Sorry, just
Yes.
like what I said, the big guys, the big guns in this country have made so much money. So which means still in this country, there is hope. Which means foreign investors need to come, because when you come into this country, you make more than what you can make anywhere than any part of the world.
Prof?
Yeah, to certain extent, because economy and security are intertwined. Once one boom, then the other will go down, and once the other has rise, then the other will also go. In a more serious sense of it, a serious investor, a signal, a information can deter him from invest, because he needs a stable economy that he can invest and reap out of that investment. So it's a long-term investment. But looking at it, no matter what fora you attend, the information coming out of that country is very sensitive. And once you tune in and said, today, 2 people, 3 people are killed, and when any investor is coming, they will say, restrict yourself to Abuja and Lagos. It's not the only country where you can invest. So there is a need to look at that area. Yes, capital market in Nigeria has taken up, and it has done relatively well in the last year. But there is a lot of work to be done, because once the security signal is there, nobody will come, no matter what you said, no matter what you talk, because they have their source of information. Their source of information mostly are their embassies. And their embassies will send them signal that they sense from the country. So you talk. The second thing is about the free trade in Africa. Yes, there is a large market for Nigeria to exploit, but there are standardization problems that we need to address. Going forward, I think in the 2022, that standardizations must focus on it.
And why is that?
Yeah, because ab initio, we have not given emphasis on standardization. There is not even institutions to standardize, international level recognized. It's only NAFDAC and standard organization. Beyond that, there are other standard organizations that guide the international trade, which they were absent in some cases and weak in some.
Indeed, no economy can thrive without security being stable in any country, and for us to move on, we need to stabilize it well. I told you earlier in the course of the program that we'll be bringing you reports so that they can sort of cushion our conversation and give us more insight into the details from states across the country. Let's join Abolade Salami in Lagos for an update on how 2021 went down and expectations from 2022. Let's take that.
As the 7th largest economy in Africa and a mirror through which the world views Nigeria, Lagos State, the city with a large heart, prides herself as the most industrialized city as well as the commercial giant of Nigeria. The metropolitan city sets out 2021 on a financial estimate of 1.16 trillion naira, christened Budget of Rekindled Hope, to regain Lagosians' confidence on the delivery of infrastructural projects and other social amenities. Though not an easy ride for the state government to bring to fruition all of its projections for the year under review, as the COVID-19 pandemic and Omicron variants served as brick wall that didn't stand the test of time.
Nigeria's economy, Lagos is the powerhouse. So for us in Lagos, the economy is something that we need to be pushing all of the time. So if you look at road transportation, the waterways, and then the rail, you will see that the government is really tackling these problems that we have in Lagos because of our population that is growing every day.
The city in 2021 hosted the nation's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, at several times to inaugurate laudable projects with a view to drive national integration, develop human capacity, and boost domestic growth.
The connection through rail would position Nigerian ports as the choice for import and export business of the people of landlocked Niger Republic.
The development in 2021 cuts across sectors of the economy which Lagos benefited largely, from the 157 kilometers Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line and its extension by 6.8 kilometers into Apapa Port to decongest the access of heavy-duty trucks, to the Deep Blue project aimed at securing the nation's maritime territory against pirates and external attacks, the launch of the third seaworld defense boat, inauguration of ships and helicopter for the Nigerian Navy as a proactive strategy to combat sea attacks, were also some of the giant strides recorded in the past year.
The issue of these platforms is not only restricted on piracy, armed robbery, as you mentioned, pipeline vandalization, oil theft, illegal refinery, illegal smuggling of arms, illegal narcotics, drugs.
Also of note is the reconstruction and rehabilitation work ongoing at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, almost at a completion stage, while the Apapa Oshodi and Third Mainland Bridge repair works have been a major relief to motorists plying the route.
What the Buhari administration is doing here is monumental work, keeping traffic moving, almost 50,000 vehicles per day while constructing. That is heavy lifting.
As the new year kicks off, with high hopes and aspirations on the delivery of more dividend of democracy, states and local governments have been charged to take a clue from the federal government ideology of stimulating growth and development.
The next report is from Enugu, and Chine has it.
2021 was the most difficult year for most people.
These are some Nigerians reviewing the activities of the year 2021. In the year under review, Nigeria had a great escape from recession caused by inflation. However, the economy of most states in the southeast zone crippled and was affected negatively due to the observance of the over 8 months Monday's sit-at-home directive by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, who were protesting the detention of their leader, Nnamdi Kanu. During the year, there was a continued battle against insecurity occasioned by the activities of insurgents and bandits. The southeast zones also experienced violent attacks on federal agencies, as well as assassinations purportedly carried out by some unidentified persons described as unknown gunmen.
We need to understand that the major yardstick of effective security is this sense of observation, not just by security personnel, but by every member of society.
The judiciary sector has been a strong pillar in Nigeria's democracy. A lot of cases were entertained, especially in the party primaries held for the just concluded Anambra governorship elections. Though the year 2021 witnessed several challenges, Nigerians are, however, optimistic that the year 2022 will be a better year.
You're welcome back, and this is still Tuesday Live. Don't forget our phone lines will be open in a moment so that you can be able to contribute to the conversation. Now let's get down to our discussion. Let me join Brigadier General Joseph. Brigadier General Joseph, some of the subnationals in Nigeria seem to be a little bit overwhelmed by the insecurity in the country, and most times we hear is the federal government. What is your assessment of the whole rumble here? Can the subnationals sustain their security outfits and ensure that the people are safe and well?
Very much for this opportunity again. As I said in my introductory statement, the level of insecurity in our society now is such that it will be very unreasonable, I repeat, very unreasonable to leave the issue of security in the House of Security Agencies alone without involving the local. And that brings me to my appetite for those and support, total support for those who clamor for state police. I take the case of Sokoto, Zamfara, Niger State, and even Katsina. I do know, having grown up north myself and served there extensively, even albeit during the military regime, if we had the kind of native police authority that existed, that made things work, I don't think it would have been easy for people to cross the border, walk into anybody's farm or home, rustle the cattle, kill the people and move away. I'm using those ones as extreme cases. And ditto to all parts of Nigeria. Here in the southeast, environment makes a man. I'm from the southeast. And I believe that call it your non-gunman or gunman, or whether you know or not, it's not my business. But what I do know is, if the state or the sub-nationals have a tab on the security issues in their environment, these things would not have gone the way they've gone. And I'm worried going forward because I keep wondering if the youth, I've never seen an old man involved in this kind of thing. I'm an old man myself. But if the youth of this generation would be so daring to do the kind of things they do now, even with a retired general as a sitting president, and I don't want to be misquoted. Tomorrow down the press will say, I'm advocating for only military people. No, I'm saying that if they've been able to do the kind of things they did now, what happens when a civilian, we are civilians now, is in charge, who may not have that, if you will, damn it, go to hell. Give this, do this. Because in politics, I've noticed it. There's always the need, the tendency to please people because of the next election. No. And I think that the sooner the sub-nationals take responsibility for protecting us, instead of letting the police at the national or whatever, because the army has been overstretched. I pity these boys. Many of them, I really thank Honorable Adamu for at least making reference to that film he watched in 82 Division. Most people who died as soldiers died not for the what they signed for or what their perception when they were joining the army, but doing the ordinary police work. And if we have state police, call it anything. If the state police is offending anybody, get it any name. Call this question of you are forming this, you are forming that, blah, blah. It wouldn't be there. Because it's as good if you form, if you have a Amateur today, or ESN, or whatever they have, call it in North now, it's as good as liberalizing this and getting state police and getting them armed like you have troopers in the US. Well trained there, they'll be armed. And security for the better there. Nigeria has developed to that extent that, and with the IT guys, the sophistication is bound to be more. What you can't even imagine that small kids know, they know, and can improve upon, and can even invent it. So the sooner we start thinking about the sub-nationals taking responsibility for the state, for the safety of the people they govern, the better. I personally believe that police is over-centralized in this country. And I don't know any developed country that doesn't practice liberalization of security in terms of policing. Of course, the armed forces is always one. You have one Air Force, you have one Navy, you have one Army. Nobody will suggest that. But when it comes to the day-to-day security of individuals, boy, you can't take it away from the local security agencies. That's my take on that.
Yes, it's a take on that. But what do you think going into 22 the government needs to do security-wise? Because they say in every crisis situation, there must be silent backers.
God bless you. I think the federal government, let me come out blunt, used to be blunt too in identifying sponsors of people, call it Boko Haram, call it anything you call it, the cattle rustlers and the people who make governance impossible. If you are there, because we say in the military that once an enemy is known, he's half defeated. You start from there. Once the government is bold enough to, I watched the Ali Ndume the other time on the television. I almost shed tears for him, but he was being very frank and passionate about what he said, and I believed him. There's no point covering anybody. If I am today identified to be sponsoring anything, please expose me and let me take the punishment. There's no amount of army, the police, or whatever, the Air Force, that will curtail or contain the level of insecurity we have in our society now. So what I suggest, I request, if I got your question very well, is a little bit of decentralization of the mechanism, the operation of our security apparatus, so that we should be able to contain and man in depth some of these things confronting us, because the sophistication, sciences and what have you, has evolved, and there's no way you can wish these things away. Unless I did get your question very well, you may redirect me, but that's just my thinking. I may be saying the same thing over and over again. I don't know if I got you. What did you? Am I making sense to you, man? Is that what you want? I'm asking you.
General, Brigadier General Joseph, we thank you so much there, and you've raised a lot of pertinent questions that we'll talk about with the other guests in the studio. But let's join Dr. Kayode Ajolo in London, and for his input on, there's no country that can be sustained without a stable security. And in 2021, we saw a lot of arrests. We saw the autonomy of the judiciary being upheld. It was quite good news for the judiciary. But is the judiciary itself overwhelmed by the bulk of work that comes to it day in, day out? And how can that, be used to the advantage of the judiciary to ensure that the common man on the street gets justice?
Well, thank you very much. When we talk of who get justice in this country, all over the world, it's always seemed to be common man, but experience has taught us that even the big men, I think they need the justice as it is. Now, to your question, one of the things that we need to safeguard that is the autonomous, that's the independence of judiciary. And I believe kudos must be given to the president, that is President Muhammadu Buhari, for passing this, for making the proclamation about the executive order in which he spells out the independence of judiciary and the legislature. Though the controversy still continues till today, by and large, our judiciary is yet to be independent. But I think there is need to interrogate that issue and to ensure that executive order is followed into two, because the essence of judiciary is until when it is independence, that is when we can now really have the feel of justice as it is. The independence comes with the fact that they will be autonomous to discuss about their pay, about their salary, whether we like it or not. Judiciary in Nigeria seems to be the lowest paid in the world as far as I'm concerned, particularly considering the annual tax they have been saddled with. I know what it takes for a judge to write judgment. I know the essence of research. And the question is there the resources to do that? Then apart from the resources, you mentioned about dispensation of justice. What about the manpower? Today, in some states, they will have maybe 30, 20 judges. Can they judge the number of these judges be enough to fix all the issue? And that's why today you see the numbers of cases in our courts, and sometimes a matter that's supposed to be dispensed within 3 months, we spend 3 or 4 or 6 or 7 years. That one, too, I think we need to look at that. And again, enforcement of court order is another thing. There's no way you go to court to ensure to get the fruit of your labor. The question now is, how will that order be enforced? What happened today can lead Christians to that. Lagos, when they are nested, enforcement unit, a governor trying to order an enforcement unit of a court judgment to abandon his duty. And I think kudos must be given to the police that stood their ground to ensure that the justice is done. And I think that is what it is, because if a governor who is a party to a matter is try to compromise and push the enforcement unit away, I think these are the things we should not allow. So by and large, like I said, judiciary is up to the task, but what will make them effective, what will make them the judiciary we want, I think we need to ensure that. And again, the independent, we've talked about independence. The judiciary need to be independent to be able to make things work. And we talked of the security. You know, recently the Attorney General has caused the prosecution of some of these bandits, some of these insurgents. The judiciary need to be strengthened. The question is who is even guiding them? What about their own security? Because for me to dispense justice, for me to ensure security, my security needs to be taken care of. And that, I think we need to really, there's a need to look at that too. Though, like I said earlier, kudos must be given to the judiciary, particularly because of the rules, because of the way that every time they keep on evolving. And whether we like it or not, we need to really salute them for when it comes to the administration of justice, the way they have been checking themselves. You know, sometimes because of this revocation of court orders, you can know what the National Judicial Council has been doing to punish and criminate judges found wanting. But I think the other party, that's the judge, the lawyers and the litigants, I think there must be a way to sanction them. I think with all this, Nigeria will be great, and with all this, the issue of this security will be minimal. I will be reduced to some point.
Yes, I'm going to still stay with you briefly. INEC has released the timetable for the 2023 election. How will it impact the judiciary here?
Well, I think I'm not a prophet of doom, but I need to say this, that, like I said earlier, this year, in the beginning of the election year, INEC has released a timetable from April, May, June, July to October. I believe judiciary will be stressed and will be overstressed. That one is so clear. And again, not only the judiciary that will suffer, many cases in courts, one way or the other, will be suffered, because most of these cases by the INEC are political cases, are time-bound, in which it has to be dispensed with expeditiously, and apart from that, it has a limit. So not only that the judiciary will be stressed, and that's why we wish that the limitation of the appointment of judges need to be extended, need to be stressed in such a way that we have more manpower to employ more judges and their staff to ensure that they take this and they quickly settle the briefs given to them. And like I said, too, other cases, particularly now, the criminal matter is being affected. Today in Supreme Court, you see some cases being adjourned to 6 or 1 year, which shouldn't be. That is criminal cases, not to even talk of civil cases. And because of that, a lot of people, a lot of things we likely be stifled, and a lot of things we may go wrong. And I think it needs egalitarian, egregious judiciary to take and to dispense this case quickly. And I believe there must be a backing, because recently INEC is asking for over 100 billion naira for the election. I think there must be some provision too for most of these cases, because most of the battle of this election will be in our courts, and that means that judiciary will be overstressed. And I think there must be a backup. There must be a way to mitigate the effects of this several litigation on the judiciary and the litigants.
Okay, Dr. Kayode Ajalo, thank you so much there for your insights. You're watching Tuesday Live. We'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation on 2021 in retrospect and 2022 prospects will continue. Don't go away.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough. And I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am beloved. Who are you?
From the heart of the Federal Capital Territory
to the ancient city of Kano,
from the sprawling rooftops of Ibadan
to the bustling markets of Aba and the creeks of the Niger Delta, you really can't beat the reach.
Over the years, we have kept going, keeping you informed, educated, and entertained.
And how have we survived in the very challenging year?
Because of our pillars of support, namely the 3 tiers of government: ministries, departments, and agencies,
corporate bodies and advertisers,
religious bodies,
civil society groups,
political parties, and most importantly, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great.
And together, we shall make 2022 greater. Thank you.
From all of us here at NTA, your season's greetings and a prosperous new year.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
You're welcome back, and this is Tuesday Live. We're discussing 2021 in retrospect and 2022 prospects. This is the time for our phone lines to be open, but remember, please, when you get through, tone down the volume of your device so that we can communicate and understand what you're trying to say and how your message goes. So let's come back to the studio here, and I'll continue with Honorable Farouk Aliu. You're a businessman, a politician, an entrepreneur. You're an all-rounder. Let's look at the different social investment programs of the Buhari administration in 2021, keeping in mind the impact of the COVID-19 and how it affected Nigerians. How did it go? Was it a well-thought-out plan, or are Nigerians still not satisfied with it, or are they okay with it? As an entrepreneur and a businessman, did it impact Nigerians?
Honestly, it did. Because you find out that in villages, including yours,
yes,
his, mine, all over the place, there are persons who get some stipend that never before has happened in this country before. Also, in terms of agriculture also, the government has done so much that loans were given. You know, I remember that it's an organization called RIFAN, this Rice Farmers Association, that have given farmers from fertilizer to pesticides to seeds and seedlings and so on. And some of these things come free, honestly, all in trying to cushion the effect of COVID. And the trade harmony of a thing, the so many interventions that were done by Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Central Bank, NISAL, all over the place. So in every community in this country, there is that impact. But then, this is a country of 200 million people. So, yes, it's not enough because of paucity of funds. The government has to do so many other things also. But to larger extent, a lot of people have gotten so much, to cushion the effect of the recession and the problem we have all over the world. Also, you find out that even, when we talk about government, people just look at federal government. The state governments also have done their bit in every state, across party lines. Whichever state you go, you find out that the government also tries to, reach out to the vulnerable people and so on and so forth. But the federal government has done more, certainly, because they have responsibility over virtually every part of this country. But honestly, I think the government has done enough, has done so much. Whether it is enough, I don't think it is enough because, as I said, 200 million people. Everybody is looking for, what to do and so on and so forth. But then also when we say government, you and I, all of us are government. Those in authority, the governors, the legislators and so on, they hold this thing, in trust on our behalf. So, like when it comes to security now, we keep blaming government. We, all of us also, need to continue to cooperate, to give information. Then the government, just like when you ask the general, I think the government needs to come out. We are tired of hearing sponsors of terrorism or banditry and so on. Nigerians are tired of hearing that. The government needs to come out clean. Who are they? We need to know them. Shame them. Put them to trial. So that we, the government, those in authority give us confidence that yes, they are hearing us, we are crying, and we need to know who amongst us are sponsoring, this destabilization of our country. So in terms of that, the people need to continue to cooperate, to give information, to assist those in authority. But then the government needs to buy our confidence.
We have a call that just came in and saying, Nigerians want to contribute to the conversation. Okay. Abdullahi from Jos. Hello, Abdullahi. You're on to the studio. Hello, Abdullahi. Can you hear me? Can you go ahead? Let's hear what you have to say. Continue.
Okay. Yes. You see, back to the confidence. What I'm saying, it's I read today in the newspapers, one of the senators, Alin Dume in particular, said, look, the government needs to come out and name these people. And I think, honestly, it's high time. We can see the security agencies keep parading. Those are probably smaller thieves. Smaller bandits. The real bandits are probably, living amongst us. Because the government needs to go further to find out these monies that the kidnappers collect. These monies are not spent in the bush. They are spent in the cities, which means our security agencies, our intelligence agencies need to come out with where are these monies taken to, so that a big man or a big woman, somebody way up there, will be shown to the public that, look, Mr. A, Alhaji B, and so on are part of this gang, and the government should come heavy on that kind of person so that it will be deterrent. So that when the government does that kind of a thing, you will probably have a think. And so that also those brothers and sisters in the, who are committing this crime all over the place will probably see that, look, there is no gain in doing this thing to your kith and kin.
We have another call here coming in. Callistus from Enugu State. Can you hear me, Callistus? Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, Callistus. Go ahead. Can you hear me, Callistus. We seem to have lost him there. Honorable Farouk, I will return to you, but let me...
I have a little
okay.
to NTA now.
What's that?
NTA needs to improve in the quality of these telephone calls. Week in, week out, you have these kind of problems. So please, NTA, make sure that people call.
You know, it's technical problems, and you know, you just there's some things, there's some things you just can't help.
NTA also needs to improve in this telephone conversation.
Yes,
please.
exactly. Let me join Professor Mohammed Muttaka Usman. We've talked about the social investment programs of the president, but the high point of the financial sector in Nigeria was the forex policy by the CBN. How did it impact businesses in Nigeria?
Yeah. I think let me start with the social investment. Yes, Honorable said it has impacted. To me, it's limited. Why? Because the cost of living has risen up. So whatever you get, it's spill out. For instance, the price of food. In 2 years, consistently, food inflation is rising. So there is a problem there. And that's why when there is a problem, you ask economists, what happened? So there is a need to go back to the drawing board. What is going on? And therefore, along that line, you find out that no matter what you give out, when the inequality continues to widen up, you find out the impact will not be felt as it were. That's fundamental. And the social side, the financial side of it, is that you find out the foreign exchange to most economists, they don't understand why those policies at that material time. Because you have a rising inflation, instead to address the...
Break it down for us.
Yeah. Instead of addressing the issue of inflation, you are trying to address the issue of foreign exchange. And therefore, abrogating the inflationary pressures in the economy. And you lost also on the forex market. And that's fundamental because most of your production sector is down. Because what you take is mostly imported. So the demand pressure on the foreign exchange is high. And therefore, that's, and coupled with the fact that there is a lot of debt overhang.
I need to cut you now, I'll get back to you, but we have Callistus from Owerri. Callistus, go ahead. Can you hear me? Hello, Callistus, can you hear me? I think we lost the call. Please continue.
What I'm saying is that since 1986, the World Bank has been saying that our currency has been overvalued. After 2021, they are still telling us that our currency is overvalued. Just because, maybe because of the debt overhang that is in our neck. So one of the things I think the new economic advisor that was appointed should look at those issues vis-a-vis the country itself as a spring nation. What do we expect? Because the high cost of living, no matter what you are going to do, without addressing that high cost of living, the impact will not be felt.
Is our economy dollarized?
Yeah, it's dollarized because if it's not even, it is only in Nigeria you can use dollar as a legal tender in Nigeria. Well, dollar is not a legal tender in Nigeria. But there are some payments they will ask you, you have to make it in dollars. So all those things need to be put
into perspective. Michael from Mina is calling. Michael, can you hear me? Go ahead. Hello, Michael. Can you hear me? Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm very hearing you loud and clear.
Go ahead.
Please, just want to go on this under security we talk about.
Go on.
I'm one of among sergeants, Nigeria police. What we are facing in terms of operation is very, very bad. I myself am speaking with you, I have dismissed 2 months ago. They attack us at Guduba. I speak on no feeding, no allowance. They just dismiss me. Now, how can we, if not the patient of God, me that can operate rightfully, and again, I will not feed John Boko Haram or Fulani X-Men. And again, while I'm talking this, I came to Berekete family to table this my issue. We need ID one-on-one. I show him the video I speak on. He said, why I show the video on Facebook? I said, what I say in Facebook is West here. But even the day they keep peace among of us, I keep knowledge that sees Boko Haram. But today I'm in my house.
We seem to have lost that phone call. Let's go back to Brigadier General Joseph in Enugu. Brigadier General Joseph, you are a former military officer, and now you're into politics. You are gearing up, I believe, for a political career yourself, and the security situation in Nigeria has sort of got improved. It is improving and it's getting better. But let's look at from the scenario of the Anambra election, towards the end of 2021, as it was like a guinea pig for testing a lot of things. And at a point, they even said that the election might not hold. So as from 2022 to 2023, do you think the security situation in that axis will improve for elections to take proper course and bring out a positive result at the end of 2023 after the elections?
I don't know. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of interference from, I think, is it Ajulo or somebody, because I wasn't getting your question.
What I'm trying to say is, as a security expert and now a politician, how would you rate, the political sphere from 2022 going to 2023?
How? Hello?
Can you hear me?
No, not quite.
I'm saying you're moving from the security sphere to the political landscape. How do you think 2022 politically, as a security expert yourself and as a politician, how do you think it's going to play out?
Oh, okay. Yes. Honestly, permit me to say that whether it's the economy or whatever you call it, everything revolves on security. Because I am not too sure you can achieve much under insecurity. Even when you want to do the campaigns and you can't go and sell your idea to the electorate because you could be kidnapped or attacked or anything. So unless and until this security situation is brought at least reasonably under control, you can't predict who is even your adversary, except to say that if you're in APC, this man is in PDP. But with the prevalence of, say, in Southeast here, unknown gunmen, or it's not all over the country, because the election is not just, you mentioned particularly about Anambra. Election will take place all over the country. And I'm saying that whether it's the economy, whether it's politics, of course, infrastructure and whatever, everything depends on the security situation. And so our effort should be on improving the present situation. And it is not the amount of money that is pumped in that matters. Unless the society and then the Nigerians buy into the government's plan and the government too being determined to let go over centralization of security, I am scared, I'm afraid to say, I'm not a prophet though, going forward, the security situation in this country doesn't look too good for me.
Brigadier General Joseph, I have to cut you. We have a phone call coming in. Can you hear me? Paul from Umwa here. Can you hear me, Paul? Go ahead.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Paul. Can you speak to me? Can you hear me? We seem to have lost that, having some network issues with our network here. Let's continue. Let me join Dr. Kayode Ajulo. And, you know, you've been listening to this conversation, and you've been listening to our guests here in the studio talking about security, talking about the economy, talking about politics, talking about so many things. And I cannot just allow you to just talk about the judiciary. Let's have your take on how you think 2021 will be like in terms of both economy, both security, and of course, we can't leave out politics.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me pick from what the last speakers mentioned, that is the general, on the issue of security. I think the truth needs to be told. For any given society, one of the first things that need to be fixed right is the security, because it is after that every other thing needs it is the foundation of security that society lives with. And I think I need to say this, that the government, everything lies squarely on the government, in the sense that for every given government, one thing that matters most is the government having monopoly on violence. And what I mean by that is that the government needs to have the capacity to contain any issue of insecurity. And if the truth must be told, that is one of the functions of government. That is why you see that the Constitution of Nigeria talks about government ensuring the security and welfare of the people, security of life and property, then the issue of welfare. And I believe Nigerian government, particularly in the area of security, need to do more. It is the duty of the government to reassure the country, to reassure its people that at all times, the security of the people will be paramount and will be fixed. And I believe after that, that is when we can now be talking. And I think the essence of why we are talking this evening is because Abuja is secured, is because we are at peace to discuss the issue. And at that point, we need to say that. And it gave back to the trade and economy and whatsoever it is. And mind you, the court, our court, that is the Apex Court, has even realized that in the case of Asari Dokubo and federal government, in which the courts mention that it is when one's issue of national security is affected, every other issue can be laid to rest. Mind you, who determines national security here is not the state apparatus, but the judiciary itself. That is the issue of rule of law. We determine what to be done at all times. So as it is, that is what we need that need to be fixed. And I want to believe that when we are talking of the prospect of 2021 and 2022, one of the things that we cannot take away from Nigeria is that irrespective of the use and cries the Alabado about the issue of security, Nigeria still remains one. We still have united Nigeria, irrespective of our challenges. And I think that is one of the things we need to laugh on. That is one of the things we need to hold so there, to now look back. How have we been able to do it, irrespective of all this problem? If we can still do it today, I think we can still do more. And I think that is why
indeed,
I want to call on
Dr. Kayode, Nigeria is a resilient nation and can stand against any adversity coming its way. We have a caller, Ibrahim from Abuja. Can you hear me, Ibrahim? Go ahead.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Let's hear you.
Yes, good evening. I want to just go straight to the point. I am speaking regarding a village known as Bagana, precisely in Kogi State, Omala local government. The world is hearing me now. The country is hearing me now. Nobody will say he is not hearing and he has not heard about Bagana today, as at now. Bagana for the past 3 months has been under siege. Some gang of persons, in collaboration with a few persons within that community, has decided to send away the community, sack the community completely, and have been coming to attack the indigenous of that land. They want to destroy the whole place. The state government, I am very sure, is aware. People in the federal authorities are aware. But there are powers that be that have agreed that that place should be destroyed just for their own selfish interest. Whatever the interest they have is only God that knows. That is God that has put us on that land, the land of Ututubatu, our ancestral land, a place that has been there as old as Igala land. That is the first settlement of Igala. But as I speak with you now, people have been sacked from that community. And people in authority know who are behind what is happening there. They have refused to take a position as regards Bagana. The courts have settled all the issues pertaining that land. But people are shying away from taking responsibilities. Fulanis have been invited to sack the community to kill people in that land. People are being hired to come and kill people in that land. The government is fully aware, and they are just looking and shying away from what is happening there, because there are powers that are behind what is happening. And that is what is happening in this country. We keep saying that government is trying, but they need to...
Ibrahim, I believe you've made your point, and I know that these allegations will be verified and will be investigated, and the relevant authorities will definitely take action, as this government has said that they will leave nobody behind and they will ensure that everybody gets adequate security. We have reports also from states, that we have to bring into the program, and we're taking the there's a third report actually from Kaduna by Haruna Muhammad. Let's take a listen.
The year under review has been a turning point for Kaduna State in so many fronts, as it witnessed gains and minuses. Infrastructure is one major area the state is holding a signpost of progress. Federal government was able to step up the reconstruction of Abuja-Kaduna-Kano highway. Sizable percentage of the portions of the dual carriageway has been completed, while work is ongoing steadily on the remaining parts, in addition to the ongoing construction of Kaduna Eastern Bypass.
The weather is friendly. The contractor has been paid, so everything is working well, and we believe that all this vehicle will achieve what we have planned to achieve in good time.
When we look at the area of rail transportation systems, we have spent a lot of billions of dollars there, and it has yielded result.
The Ajakuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline is another ambitious project embarked upon by the present administration of Muhammadu Buhari in the year under review. The idea is to enhance the economic fortunes of the people.
The largest methanol producer in the world is Qatar. They are the largest because they have large gas fields. And now they are leading the world in the production of methanol, because methanol is a feedstock for the production of other chemicals and petrochemicals.
On its part, Kaduna State government has rolled out master plan to improve infrastructure in the state under the Urban Renewal Project, which has been ongoing simultaneously in Kaduna, Zaria and Kafanchan towns, designed to put up structures that will stimulate the state's economy. However, there was a major setback as COVID-19 pandemic set in and slowed down the pace of progress. Governments at all levels were able to surmount the challenges. While contending with this monster, government was confronted with the new trend of criminality involving kidnapping and banditry in some parts of the northwest geopolitical zone. Kaduna is among the states affected. The good news is that security apparatus are dealing with the emerging security threats.
And when communication was reduced to the minimum, you find out that even the issue about kidnapping reduced to a certain level.
The issue of security, yes, they have tried to their own possible best, and I urge them to redouble their effort so that we go back to a zero level of security, and Nigerians will sleep. Both Kaduna State people will sleep with their 2 eyes closed, and as well as Nigerians will also sleep with their 2 eyes.
For the next report, let's join Kingsley and Marjorie from Port Harcourt.
To some residents of Port Harcourt, 2021 left mixed feelings for many. The high cost of living and the attendant impact on many families are some concerns they wouldn't want to go through this year.
Let me just try to forget what happened last year. Let the governor here continue what he's doing.
The rising cost of energy and utility services left negative impact on most family finances in 2021. This, some residents want the authorities to address.
There are areas that the state government can actually cushion the effect of economic hardship, and that includes insufficient electricity. This will help, little businesses to grow.
On infrastructural development, 2021 witnessed increased investment in road infrastructure aimed at supporting SMEs in Rivers State.
Anyone who owns a property here that understands property business know that the value of every property have accentuated, have increased as a result of this very road.
On the environment, residents continue to live with the impact of soot occasioned by illegal refining of petroleum products in the state.
People are dying here every day because of the soot. They inhale the soot and the soot settle with them and settle in their respiratory organ, and before you know they die.
What we see now is congestion in the city, you understand, environmental problem, sanitation problem, and all that. So the governor should do well. He's almost going, but he should try these few years remaining.
Expectedly, hopes are high among residents that 2022 would offer better opportunity for individuals to pursue their aspirations. This is just as others look forward to a pre-election year where citizens should participate actively to enthrone good leadership for the country.
Thank you, Kingsley and Marjorie. Honorable Farouk, from the phone calls we got, win some, lose some. Of course, we must have criticism. But like you said earlier, government cannot do it alone. The people also have to contribute.
Yes, let me just respond to my brother Ibrahim, who, of course, raised concerns about what's happening in his area and so on. But then you see, he also has responsibility to report these things that he's talking about. And then when we as a people criminalize ethnicity, that's doing nothing. There are criminal Fulanis, criminals all over the place. But there are also good Fulanis. Yes. There are criminal Igalas where he comes from. There are good Igala people. So let's see crime as crime. A criminal is a criminal. Whether you are a Muslim or you're a Christian, whether you're Yoruba, Igbo or anything. If you are a criminal, let us as a people see them as criminals and treat them as criminals, so that we, the people of this country, come together in unison to attack criminals amongst us, irrespective of where they come from. So that, at the moment we start looking at these things from who is at fault, not where you come from, not what your religion is. So my brother Ibrahim, and I promise, honestly, I promise to take it up with those in authority, what he said. And people need to continue to speak out. And we thank NTA, for giving this kind of avenue for people to ventilate their mind.
Of course, you can't beat the rich.
Yeah. Well, of course, exactly. So I think it is good what Ibrahim has said, but whether what he said is completely the truth, that will be found out. And as I said, you cannot stop people from talking. You cannot also stop people from blaming government. Yes, that's okay. It's part of, those that are in authority will certainly take the pinch. But then I want to respond to also my brother, when he spoke about dollarization of
the economy.
The economy. I beg to respectfully disagree with my brother Professor. Dollar is not a legal tender in this country. So anybody who trades in dollar is doing an illegal business. So this country, the government, the authorities in this country, and I'm sure Professor knows, that you cannot, if you do trading in dollar, like to go and buy chewing gum or buy biscuit or buy, it's illegal. And I'm sure the government, those in authority will not allow that to continue. Whether there are some instances, probably the professor will say, where dollars are used to buy things, I don't know, honestly.
I know.
Can you respond, please?
Yeah.
Yes. What I'm saying, there are schools now that you pay in dollars in this country. So it's not
a hidden.
It's not a hidden thing. They will tell you, if you can't pay by this currency, please take your word.
Well, that's illegal.
If you call it illegal, it exists.
So as an economist, what policies do you think government needs to come up with?
What I'm trying to say about the economy in general
yes.
term in 22, what I think they should focus more as a Nigeria to survive. One, they have to look at what are the policies that really reduce the cost of living for Nigerians so that they can produce. Two, even issue of the local government. I think it's local government, they are no longer functioning. They only pay salary and disappear. But when local government are functioning, there are so many pressure that will be taken off the state and the federal government because there are some services they can provide in terms of small jobs that they can give and people can generate income. Thirdly, there is the need to sit down and look at the fiscal policy side and monetary policy side. It seems now the two are intertwined. The monetary policy are taking fiscal issues on board of monetary policy, and the fiscal policy are not focusing on the fiscal issue. Like I always said, that there is no country in this world that develop with generation of revenue. Is the country can only develop by utilizing the revenue for efficient production. So the issue of increasing, for instance, when you increase tax, because the act is almost done, when you increase tax, it's only those people that you are taxing that you are increasing their tax because there is no expansion in the tax net. Because how many people got job to be taxed? So
how many people pay tax in Nigeria?
Pay tax in Nigeria because they don't have the resources to pay the tax. In most cases, because the issue we are always carried away. We said it's okay, GDP tax ratio. And when you look at Nigerian GDP, most component of it, large component of it, are not the activities that are generated in the economy, but they are brought into the economy. Therefore, it gives you a falsehood on the volume of activity that is taken in the country. So going forward, I think now the perspective is to look at how do we then address issues of production. Because when you are producing, you will be able to engage more people, income will go round, and people will purchase from the products that are produced. So it is only when people can purchase your product, then you can continue to produce, and you have to employ more people to meet the demand. So these are issues that I think going forward in 2022 must be looked into. And like I said, by the appointment of Chief Economic Advisor now, he can coordinate those activities very well.
And standardization of products too needs to come into play.
Yeah, indeed, because we need to go to the international market because of African common market. So therefore, all these will produce. Like what my brother said, Dangote and Bua are making bricks of profit. In fact, you will be surprised that the banks are declaring huge profit. Yeah. But you can't feel it. You can't feel it in the economy. You can't touch it. You can't even see it. When you go out, you see the poverty facing you. So I think these are the issues that we will address.
In 2022.
In 2022. And there are so many ways to do that. For instance, if even the issue of money they call endowment account. The regulator need to look at those money. That's why I think the financial system need to be scrutinized well to get out. Because the issues at the financial sector is very fundamental, because you can't finance investment without those kinds of institutions.
So I think the economic advisor has a lot on his plate.
Indeed, indeed. It comes too late.
We still have 15 months to go. Better late than never. Won't you say that? Let's jump Brigadier General Joseph in Enugu. You had our callers speak about insecurity. It still comes down to the subnationals and how they are handling security in their states. Let's have your take on that, you know, and how the subnationals in 2022 can ensure that these issues are addressed properly.
Yes, I think, well, it's unfortunate the network keeps getting bad when you direct your questions to me, but I like to say that on balance, I don't think there's much we can do without improving on our security. And when you talk about improving on security, I'm thinking of it's an admix of what the contributors have said, like what Honorable Farouk has said, like what Professor Muntaka has said. To my mind, when you have opportunities to absorb more youth into productive sector, you reduce the level of insecurity. And the way to go, from my layman's point of view, is industrialization, industrialization, industrialization. We must give it to the present government and President Buhari that the infrastructure is providing a lot of jobs for our youth. And that has reduced the level of insecurity. And I think more of such things in terms of infrastructural development, and the government is almost at its way out. But going forward, for Nigeria to reduce insecurity, there has to be a source of absorbing these idle hands that make these boys get out on the street to block the vehicle, to block people, seize women, seize children, and demand for money. Because they say an idle man's mind is the devil's workshop. Again, we don't have the bed control. The population of this country is so much that unless there is a deliberate plan and effort to ensure that there's a way to keep these youths engaged, I'm not too sure that any amount of money you vote can take care of the situation. Because even if you increase the strength of the armed forces, unfortunately, let me say unfortunately, the armed forces have been misapplied. Let me put it that way, because what they're doing now is not what they were recruited for and what they're supposed to do. But we cannot just sit down and watch helplessly while human beings are being wasted as if they're animals. So going forward in 2022, every subnational should make genuine effort to create jobs based on its capacity. Small-scale industries, anything that will engage the idle hands and take these boys off the streets. I don't want to mention particular government, but I think there are one or two governments in the South that is really trying very well to create jobs and people are getting it. And you see the level of insecurity is very well reduced there. I'm not saying there's everywhere, but particularly in the Southeast here, I think that it is not in the character of my people to just want to do the kind of nonsense they're doing now. It's sheer idleness. The issue of saying government does not arise. So my prescription, if you will, is infrastructural improvement, infrastructure, industrialization. Anything you do to engage the youth will help in reducing insecurity in 2022, whether it's at the national or sub-national. I'd like to insist that for us to get it right, security must be decentralized to some nationals, so that even when you create these jobs, the leaders and the governors and the sub-nationals can keep a tab on the activities of the youth. Thank you.
Okay, Brigadier General Joseph, thank you there. Let me join Dr. Kayode Ajalo in the UK and talking about youth restiveness in Nigeria. I think government itself has tried to look into the issue well. And as we're winding down this program today, let's have your final thoughts on how government can harness this huge population of our youths who are vibrant, who some of them making names out there for themselves, and some trying to get up from where they are to be something in the society. How can we harness our youth population positively in Nigeria? As your final thoughts.
Let me start by saying that to feel the tempo of any given nature, you have to start from the youth, because these are the vibrant, these are those who are still on, and through them we can easily know how this country is faring. Irrespective of whatever we can say about Nigeria, one need to be sure that these youths have been up and going, and maybe if time will permit, one need to use that to pay tribute to Nigerian youths that have been bringing accolades to Nigeria, the likes of Burna Boy, the likes of Wizkid, that recently, that's last year, got Nigeria the Grammy Award, which is highly coveted. And apart from that, in Hollywood alone is over $3 billion business, and Nigerian has been doing that. Then even in politics, I need to say this, those that really do the voting are the youths, and no matter whatever it is, like I said, for you to feel the pulse of the nation, for you to look at the youth, the likes of the honorable, the professor, and somebody like me, I want to believe we are already not within that realm. But the youth need to be carried along. They need to be, I think there's a way for us to let them know that this is how this is where they should face. And I believe the government have done some of the things which I believe it's not enough. There is a way for the development planning of the country must be youth friendly, must be geared towards the youth. We must say this, not too young to run. The law is there. Kudos to government for doing that. But I think that thing still needs to be. The age gap need to be increased or reduced or whatever, so that to ensure that youth participation is much, and the youth need to be mobilized. Most of the discussion today, I must say, seem to be at the upper stair. That is for the older folk. The youth need to be carried along. There are supposed to be some programs that we, one way or the other, we focus at the youth, because at the end of the day, it's basically youth that will fix this. Even in security, we are talking about the number of those in the army, in our security forces. They are youth. Today, you see some general, they are 45, they are 50, they are 55. In political definition of youth, they still fall under the same issue of youth. And I think it is just a way to call on the government to ensure that whatever may be their policy, to just toward that, and to let the youths realize that the baton of leadership, it is for them, and this is the best time to go for it. And I think that is what every youth should think of. And if they think of that, all these vices from the youth will be minimal, because they will know that the hope and the expectation of Nigeria is so high on them. We place pressure on them, and with the help of the Almighty God, Nigeria will survive.
Indeed, Nigeria is blessed. Dr. Kayode Ajalu, legal practitioner, he joined us from the UK via Zoom. Thank you so much for your contribution on Tuesday Live. Let me return to the studio. Honorable Farouk Aliu Adamu, youths. And I cannot let this program end without talking about gender balance. In just 1 minute, what is going to happen in 2021 politically?
Well, gender balance, you could see that all the parties are trying as much as possible to go for the women and so on. So we hope the women will tag along. And I saw one of the leaders, women in politics, the chairperson, was saying that waiving fees are not enough, that we should borrow a leaf from, I think, Rwanda, also where more than half of the leaders there are women. But we're going to get there, honestly, and both parties, all the parties in this country, are trying as much as possible to involve women in it. And youth, just like what my brother spoke about, you know, when we speak about government, we tend to be talking of just federal government. Yes. This government is the same government that signed one of the orders. I can't remember, or there's something to make sure that the local governments are given autonomy. Now, whether the governors are implementing that, that's another thing, you know. So let's, all of us, all the tiers of government, the local government should be allowed to work, which means if they are allowed to work, there will be more gainful employment for the youth. So going into 2022, this government also has awarded contracts just last 2 weeks for power generation and transmission, you know, because you need power.
The highest ever.
Exactly. In one go, at one sitting, 16 contracts were awarded, all in trying to boost the electrification, the power system in the country, so that, because when you have power, then there will be more work, more job for people for the youth, as you're talking about, who are the vibrant youth in this country, you know, and I hope going into 2022, they will shun against drug abuse, shun against violence, shun against political thuggery. Then we can move in as a better country.
Professor Mohammed Muttaka Usman.
Yes.
How do you empower the youths?
Yeah, it's the engine of growth, because you need them to propel production. So one of the things is to improve human capital development, how to make more investment on education and on health, and to make sure that education is given access, because during our time, the only thing you are required to pass is common interest exams. And once you pass that common interest exam, the sky is your limit. But now when you look at those schools, no matter what, they can't have magic to pass. So there must be deliberate investment in human capital, that's education and health, and that leads to what you call the empowerment of youth, because it allowed social stratification to move from one class to another by expanding the horizons of the youth. So also women, to certain extent, they take much of the brunt of the ills of the society when the economy is down. So I think going forward, all those issues must be taken in order to get a policy frame that will allow all tiers of government to function, to provide the services, and to invest more in human capital.
Indeed. Let's join Brigadier General Joseph Okoliago in Enugu. You've listened to the final thoughts of our guests here in the studio and Dr. Kayode Ajalu. Let's have your take on how we can move this country forward on a speed level with the power of our youths.
What the way to move the country forward?
I think, in all honesty, this country has a future, and the future is in the hands of the youths. I say this with all sense of responsibility and honesty. And when I say youth, it includes all gender, male, female. And I would say that so far, they have manifested honest intention going into 2022 and beyond to take responsibility. My advice as an elder is that as much as possible now, most youths should start thinking of doing it for themselves and not doing it for anybody. Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself, because your future is in your hands. And Nigeria belongs to all of us. And I can tell you, I've had the opportunity as somebody who has served this country 35 years of traveling around the world. I've not seen any better place as comfortable and more opportune as Nigeria. Because in Nigeria, you work hard, you pick gold. And when I say you pick gold, you will always have something to keep you going and live a comfortable life. And so a lot of opportunities, and these opportunities are available for the youth. So I urge both national and national government to really pay extra attention to the youth. When I say youth, I mean male and female, no discrimination, because the opportunities are there. In these days of IT, when we sit down and listen to inventions and see what young girls and young boys are able to on their own do, you get that satisfaction and hope that when you go home to your creators, there's a country you left behind that has something to kind of live on or work on. And so my advice to the youth is start learning not to work for anybody. The campaigns are very close to very much around. Don't carry anything for anybody. Carry it for yourself. Campaign for yourself. If I am running for an office, I tell you to go.
Indeed, Brigadier General Joseph Okoliagu, I can understand where you're coming from. No country can move without its youth population. The earlier we harness their potentials, the better for this country. Thank you so much. He's a lawyer and politician. He joined us from Enugu via Zoom. Thank you so much for your contribution on Tuesday Live.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back here in the studio, Honorable Farouk Aliu Adamu, former Minority Leader, House of Representatives, a farmer and a businessman and a politician. Thank you so much for coming on Tuesday Live.
Thank you so much.
As always, a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you.
And Professor Mohammed Muttaka Usman, he's from the Department of Economics at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you.
Especially on the financial status. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's Tuesday Live for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Remember to take your vaccination as at when due and observe all non-pharmaceutical protocols. And don't forget to join NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. I am Jummai Yusuf.